Welcome back to Phonemic Awareness. We're going to continue with our understanding of sound. Phonemic awareness is all about the sounds we're hearing, learning to distinguish the different sounds we hear in words, and learning to pronounce those sounds so we can send a clear message to somebody else. Phonemic awareness is all about the sound. You will not see the Latin or Roman alphabet used in English for a few presentations to come because I do not want you to get focused on the alphabet. Phonemic awareness is sound. Phonological awareness is sound. And any representation of these sounds that you will see for these next few sections will be phonetic symbols, the International Phonetic Alphabet, and the symbols that are used to represent the sound. So you will not be seeing the alphabet used in English yet. We're focusing on sound. So when we think about sound and the sounds we hear in words, words are composed of consonant sounds and vowel sounds. Vowel sounds are the heart of each word, and they're usually found in the middle of the word. A, E, I, O, U represent sounds in the alphabet, but we're not concerned about that. We will focus on the sounds we are hearing. So buckle up. We're going to be continuing with our presentation on phonemic awareness. Phonemes are the sounds that make up words. English words usually have more than one sound. So you may have several phonemes in one word. There are some words, however, that only have one sound, like in a cat or a dog. It is an article used in English and it only has one sound. But most words will have more than one phoneme. A phoneme plus a phoneme plus a phoneme can equal a word. There are at least 44 phonemes in English. Most English language learning specialists will say that there are 44 phonemes in English. I challenge that a bit and ask if we actually have 48 phonemes in Canadian English. I can't stress enough that there is a difference between each dialect. The use of phonemes, the number of phonemes, the way they are represented phonetically may differ from one dialect to another, from one country to another. The English spoken in England, for example, is different than the English spoken in the USA. The English spoken in the USA differs from the English spoken in Canada. So everyone pronounces words differently and uses different phonemes and different phonetic symbols. So though there are a commonality between all English language speakers when it comes to certain phonemes, there may be some differences as well, and I want you to be mindful of that. There are at least 44 sounds heard in English. English words are made up of vowel sounds, phonemes, and consonant sounds, which are also phonemes. I am going to show you 22 different vowel sounds that you may hear and be expected to pronounce. 22 vowel sounds. I'm also going to show you 26 possible consonant sounds in the next presentation. These are my numbers. Most people, like I said, would say there are only 44 phonemes. I want to make sure we cover them all, just in case there are more. So that's why I'm showing you 22 different vowel sounds and 26 possible consonant sounds. This presentation will deal with the vowel sounds. And remember that the jury has yet to decide exactly how many sounds we are hearing in Canadian English. Now, you will see on this slide a link to the International Phonetic Alphabet with a sound component. It's an interactive way set up by the International Phonetic Association to help language learners hear the sounds that are on the IPA chart as well as practice them. So please use that link, access it, and check it out. We're going to use it for this presentation. So find another device that you can open up and use to access this chart with. So we're focusing on the vowel sounds and the phonemes heard in those vowels. Vowel sounds are the hearts of words or word part syllables and are usually, but not always, heard in the middle of the word. They can also, in some cases, be heard at the beginning of a word or at the end of the word. But most often they are heard in the middle of a word or word part. Every syllable, every word part we hear in English has to have a vowel sound in it. Every syllable or every word part we hear in English has to have a vowel sound in it. There are 22 possible vowel sounds. I stress the word possible. 22 possible vowel sounds. Out of those 22 vowel sounds, we will hear 14 monophthongs and 8 diphthongs. 14 monophthongs and 8 diphthongs. What is a monophthong? A monophthong is a vowel phoneme composed of one sound. One sound. Mono means one, thong means sound. So a monophthong is we're hearing one sound. A monophthong then is flat and does not require any extra movement of the mouth when we make it. So monophthongs are flat and they do not require any extra movements of the mouth when we make them. Most of our vowel sounds will be monophthongs. There are possibly 14 monophthongs heard in the English language. Again, that may vary from dialect to dialect, but I want to show you all the possible monophthongs you may be hearing. Huh? The sound we hear in the middle of the word ship or bed, for example, is a monophthong. Ship or bed. There's an I in the ship, which is my vowel sound. There's an I in the bed, which is my vowel sound. So these simple sounds are monophthongs. Most vowel sounds will be monophthongs. Now I'm going to show you some charts and pause the video at any time you need to take the time to look up each of the phonetic symbols I'm showing you on the IPA chart and listen for the sound. Just click the symbol once you find it and listen for the sound. Okay? We're practicing listening for the sounds of those phonemes. Now, the first symbol you see, it looks like a lowercase I with a colon behind it, is the phonetic symbol for long E. You will also see it as IY, and probably more likely in some Canadian dictionaries as IY or IJ than the I with the colon. Regardless, you're hearing a long E. You're hearing this sound. E, E. The tongue is high in the front of the mouth and the mouth is tight. We hear this E in green, green. Eagle, eagle, eagle. Watch my mouth. Sleep, sleep. And field, field. The next monophthong we see looks like a capital I and makes the sound of a short I in many words, an I sound, I. The tongue is high in front and the mouth is laxed. We hear this word, this monophthong in pink, ship, busy, and the suffix ed. The next symbol you see looks like a horseshoe, and it's a short U or oo sound. The tongue is high, it's back, the mouth is laxed, and we hear this in would, good, should, put. Then you see what looks like a lowercase u with a colon, and this is the long oo sound. In Canada, it's often represented as with the phonetic symbol UW. The tongue is high in its back, the mouth is tense, the lips opened in a circle, heard in blue, soon. You see the circle of my mouth? Blue, through. The next symbol you see for a monophthong is an A. It looks like a lowercase a and a lowercase e merged together. And this makes the short A sound, that ah sound. Tongue is low in the front, the mouth is opened. It's heard in black, axe. Look how open my mouth is. Cat, sat. The next symbol you see is an upside down E, which represents the sha, which means it's not as pronounced as other vowel sounds in a word will be. It loses its emphasis. It's a short sound. Mouth is half open and relaxed. Watch my mouth as I say these words. Above, action, again, and afraid. Excuse me. Next, you'll see what looks like a backwards 3 with a colon. And this represents something called a bossy R, which we will talk about later on. It's a sound. Tongue is tight and bunched. Lips are curled. Heard in purple, fur, bird, work. Now we'll see that just in an opposite form, it's like it's a mirror image of it without the colon. And this is my short E sound. And in English, it will just be, in Canadian English dictionaries, you might see it as just a short E. The tongue is mid-front, the mouth is laxed. It's heard in red, bed, and bread. My mouth is very relaxed when I say those words. Moving on to what looks like an upside down lowercase a, and it makes a short O sound. The tongue is low and at the back of the mouth. The mouth is open and rounded. Watch my mouth when I say these words. Heard in on, off, on, of, from, and caught. So here an ah. The next one is an upside down V, which is a short U sound. And in Canada, it's the same thing. You will see it as that short upside down V. Tongue is mid-central, laxed, mouth open slightly. Heard in mustard, up, hut, money. The next one is the R sound, and we're seeing an A, lowercase a with a colon. You may see the R in brackets like that, or you can see AR as well. Tongue and mouth, that's phonetic symbols. The tongue and mouth start open and then close for the R sound, okay? Heard in charcoal, car, hard. So the mouth started open and then it closed to finish off that R sound. You'll also see a C in a mirror image of a C, and with the colon behind it. And this is your OR sound. It's also R controlled. So we see it often in Canada with the C, then an R beside it. The mouth stays rounded. Orange, door, horse, torch, short. Now, these are heard maybe more in England than they're heard here, but we're going to add them anyway. You'll see the shorty again, which is a long A sound, not to be confused with that backwards E, is higher than the E. It's heard in things like jet, pat, hem, when. So I'm more exaggeration of my mouth when I say those words with that sound in it. Then we have A with a short ah sound. The tongue and jaw drop all the way down for this A, ah. Heard in olive, a lot, polys, the. So there, we covered our monophthongs. Please check those sounds out on the IPA sound chart. It's very good to use that chart and have it handy to help you distinguish the sounds and to help you pronounce the sounds. We are going to move on now to something called sliding phonemes. Sliding phonemes. Sliding phonemes are actually our diphthongs. Diphthongs. Diphthongs are vowel phonemes that are a combination of two sounds. Mono was one sound. Diphthongs are two sounds. Di means two. Thong means sound. So a diphthong is a combination of two sounds that make one unique sound when we bring them together. They start with one sound, and we have to manipulate the mouth to slide to another sound. That is why they are often referred to as our sliding phonemes. Diphthongs are our sliding phonemes. They require extra movement of the mouth to pronounce. Now, check out the sound of each of these diphthongs in the IPA with sound chart, okay? You're not going to be able to find these two sounds together in their combination. You'll see that every diphthong is a combination of two symbols. So you're going to look for the first symbol, click on that, and quickly move on to the next symbol and click that to try to get that combination of sound that you're hearing. So moving on to our diphthongs, again you will see two phonetic symbols. And if you're looking at the IPA sound chart, you're going to have to do one symbol at a time, okay, in order to get that sound. So you will see the first one is a combination of three different phonetic symbols depending on where you are and what type of English you are speaking. This is a good example of the differences you will see from dialect to dialect as represented by the phonetic symbols and also the pronunciation of the word. So we're looking at an upside down E, the schwa E, and that horseshoe, a combination of those two sounds for our first diphthong. And we'll see that combination of the upside down and the horseshoe with the British pronunciation of this diphthong. The American pronunciation will see an O and then see the horseshoe. And for the Canadian, we will see O-W. And I think it's easier to remember the Canadian one because it's the sound we hear in things like snow, and we see O-W in snow. So it's that O sound. The tongue is mid-back, the mouth is slightly tense, and the lips are round. It's heard in yellow, boat, flow, snow, note. So it's raised to an AU or AW in about and out. We didn't speak about Canadian raising, but we do have a different pronunciation of the sound in Canada. In fact, we can take that O sound and change it just slightly in our speech to make about sound like about, okay, or out. And that's what we call Canadian raising, a change in that raising of that particular vowel sound. Let's move on to EI. EI, what you see looks like a little E and an uppercase I, makes the long A sound. So we're hearing A, and in Canada, we often say hey, so H is spelled H-E-Y. So it's kind of convenient that our representation of that phonetic sound is E-Y. But I want you to get used to the EI. You still may see it in the dictionary as EI. Tongue is mid-front and the mouth is tense. It's heard in gray, day. My mouth is tense. I can feel my cheeks working. Cane, stain. When you say a lot of A's, you actually feel it in your cheeks. The next symbol we're seeing is a U with that schwa E or that upside down E again. This is R controlled as well for O and A combinations or A combinations. Similar but different than the C with the colon in Canadian pronunciation. Mouth starts almost closed with lips rounded and moves into an open, relaxed mouth. Watch my mouth as I say these words. In shore, so I'm hearing or and ah together. Tourist, during, pour. Moving on to some more diphthongs. Again, please pause this video at any time and check out the pronunciation in the IPA sound chart. Now we're at an upside down C or a backward C and an uppercase I looking symbol. It could also be OI. And in Canada we have C, that upside down C, and a Y. Okay. Tongue starts mid-back, ends high front, lips start round and spread. Heard in turquoise, boy, oil, point. So oi sound. Then we have a lowercase a with the uppercase I looking symbol to represent our long I sound. Okay. In Canada, we tend to use the phonetic symbol AY or even AJ. So it may differ from dictionary to dictionary. Tongue starts low, jaw drops, and tongue moves high front. It's heard in white, high, by, fine. You can almost see the movement of my mouth, the swaggering movement of my mouth when I say those words. The next symbol is an A with that horseshoe. A or oo together. A-oo. A, tongue starts low, moves high back. Heard in brown, out. Again, this is where the Canadian raising comes in with the way I say out. Hour, now. So we'll see it in loud and house. We may have that raising. Now we're moving on to our last two diphthongs and our last two vowel sounds that we'll cover in this presentation. And we see a regular lowercase d followed by a schwa or upside down e. This is R controlled as in air. Start with open mouth, rounded tongue, and then mouth and tongue relax on the second sound. Heard in care, hair, welfare, where. And finally, for our last vowel sound, our last diphthong, we see an uppercase I with the schwa e looking symbol. This is R controlled as well in words like ear. Start with a high front tongue, mouth is relaxed, then close mouth halfway. Heard in here, year, watch my mouth closing, clear, and series. So those are our vowel sounds. So remember that these sounds may differ from country to country or area to area. Canada is a big country. We speak differently in Atlantic Canada, where I come from, than they may in British Columbia, okay? So you will see a different dialect from area to area and a different use of these phonemes. And you may see different phonetic symbols used in the same word in different dictionaries. It's a good idea to have a Canadian dictionary handy only because the symbols will be different. If you were using an online dictionary that has the sound representation for you, that helps to pronounce the words when you push the button, be careful about what type of dictionary you're using. British and American phonetic symbols may or may not differ from the Canadian ones. So just keep that in mind. So there, we covered a lot on vowel sounds and phonemes that we see and hear in English. When I say see, I'm talking about the phonetic symbols that we may be using and not the alphabet. So this section on phonemic awareness is really important for our understanding of the different sounds that we are hearing in the middle of a word and occasionally at the beginning and the end of the word if it's a vowel sound. Vowels are the hearts of all our words, so the sounds of them probably take priority when we're sounding out our words. So it's good to get these phonemes undergo. So keep practicing with your IPA chart, with this video, whatever you need, and of course with your speaking and your listening for these sounds. Watching a person's mouth is important, as you have seen, because every sound requires a different movement of the mouth. Thank you for joining me for this video, and we are going to continue with consonant sounds and phonemes in the next presentation. Have a wonderful day.